was added.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the May 21st, 2007 meeting of the Salina City Commission. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Joka.
Here.
Commissioner Larson.
Here.
Commissioner Peck.
Here.
Commissioner Perney.
Here.
Commissioner Vanier.
Here. I'd like to invite everyone to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first item on today's agenda is the Citizens Open Forum, a time set aside for any citizens who would like to bring to the Commission's attention items that are not on the official agenda today. Is there anyone that wishes to come forward? If you could give us your name and address.
Les Vince, 2202 Hillside Drive. And I and some other gentlemen are here from the municipal golf course. We drive our golf carts over there and have run onto the problem of getting ticketed for driving from home a few blocks to the municipal. And I went to the police department and asked them what the problem was. They just say they've got complaints. And they said go to the tag office. I went to the tag office. I talked to Sharon a couple times. She was very patient and tried to work with as to what she knew about it, but she doesn't see what can be done. She says a vehicle has to be tagged, has to have a 17-digit VIN number, which is a car. A golf cart has a 7-digit serial number. And so we're just running into roadblocks that nobody knows what to do. Larry, do you have a little information you want to present?
My name is Larry Werhan. I live at 313 South Estates Drive. I have a little more information. There are 40 rental spaces at the golf course. There are 32 names on the waiting list now. There are at least a dozen of us who drive to the course. I had my name on the list for 4 years, starting in '91, and it came up about 4 years later. I told him I no longer need the space because I built a cart shed at home, and now I'm told I can't drive my golf cart to the course, so I have to load it up each morning. I got a warning ticket the other day, so now I have to load it up each morning and take it to the course. I don't drive any faster than what I did before. Before I was letting the traffic pass if somebody pulled up behind me. And so that would be one thing that I think we need is more cart rental space. I've also been to the police department. I've been to the tag department, and they told me the same thing. I sent to Atlanta, Georgia to get a statement of origin, which they said I needed in order to get licensed. And as Les said, I have a, I don't know what, 7 or 8 digit serial number on my cart, and the tag office says you have to have 17. Well, that's cars, that's not golf carts. I have lights and tail lights on my golf cart, and so I don't feel like I'm a menace out there on the street. Someone tried to tell me that the golf course doesn't make any money. They have 2 and 3 and 4 tournaments per week. There are times when the regulars can't even get on the course because of the tournament. So I know they've got to be making money. I was the chairman of the golf course committee at the Fort Hays course about 18 to 19 years ago. We were started with a 9-hole course. We got 18 holes. We had probably 1/10 of the traffic that they have here, and they were able to run that course. So I don't understand why we wouldn't have enough money to build some more sheds. But also my first choice would be that to let us drive on the streets. I don't think we're a menace.
Maybe staff could take note of these gentlemen's names and we'll check into that matter. Any additional comments for the public forum? Seeing none, we will move on to awards and proclamations.
Item 4.1, the week of May 20th through the 26th, 2007, as National Public Works Week in the City of Salina. Jack Goetz, Flood Control Supervisor, will read the proclamation.
Proclamation of the City of Salina, Kansas. Whereas the public works services provided in our community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives, and whereas the support of an understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public works systems and programs such as water, sewers, streets and highways, public buildings, and solid waste collection, and whereas the health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depends on these facilities and services, and whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction, is vitally dependent upon the efforts and skills of public works officials, and whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff public works departments is materially influenced by the people's attitude and understanding of the importance of the work they perform. Now, therefore, I, Alan E. Jilka, Mayor of the City of Salina, do hereby proclaim the week of May 20th through 26, 2007 as National Public Works Week in the City of Salina, and I call upon all citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing our public works and to recognize the contributions which public works officials make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Salina, Kansas, to be affixed this 21st day of May, 2007. Alan E. Jilka, Mayor.
We've certainly been reminding the last couple of weeks of all that you do for the community. Are there any specific activities you wanted to bring to our attention?
We are hosting a luncheon in recognition of the Public Works employees on Friday of this week.
Okay. I have a signed copy of your proclamation here.
Item 4.2, the month of May 2007 as National Preservation Month in the City of Salina. Anita Specht, Heritage Commission Chair, will read the proclamation.
Proclamation of the City of Salina, Kansas. Whereas historic preservation is an effective tool for managing growth, revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and maintaining community character while enhancing livability, and whereas historic preservation is relevant for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and for Americans of all ages, all walks of life, and all ethnic backgrounds, and whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped us as a people, and whereas making preservation work is the theme for National Preservation Month 2007, co-sponsored by the City of Salina Heritage Commission and the National Trust for Historic Preservation. Now, therefore, I, Alan Jilka, Mayor of the City of Salina, Kansas, do proclaim May 2007 as National Preservation Month, and call upon the people of Salina to join their fellow citizens across the United States in recognizing and participating in this special observance. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Salina, Kansas, to be affixed this 21st day of May, 2007. Alan Jilka, Mayor.
Thank you. Are there some specific recognition events that you want to bring to our attention?
Yes, this week we will be recognizing 5 properties in the city owned by George and Wilma Wheeler, James Ryan, Cullen and Christine Marshall. We will be recognizing Oakdale School, and also James and Martha Foley, owners of the Prescott Foley House, for their efforts in historic preservation.
Thank you. I have a signed copy of your proclamation here. We will now move on to public hearings and items scheduled for a certain time.
Item 5.1, Resolution Number 076397, authorizing the issuance of certain healthcare facilities refunding and improvement revenue bonds in the principal amount not to exceed $28 million.
Mr. Bingston?
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioners, this matter involves the approval of a resolution that would allow the issuance of what are referred to as healthcare facility revenue bonds for the benefit of our local Presbyterian Manor facility. I believe this is particularly the new commissioner's first venture into the area of these types of revenue bonds, so I'll try not to go into more detail than you might wish, but hope that you'll ask any questions that you might have. This one is unique in that it involves what was at the time an unprecedented combination of the manner in which these bonds are issued and approved. So I'll try to explain that as well. These types of bonds, healthcare facility revenue bonds, are in many ways analogous to what are more commonly heard of as industrial revenue bonds, but as the name would denote, they are for the purpose of the public interest served by promoting the development of health care facilities and availing those entities of the borrowing power at lower interest rates available through the city. They are what's called a conduit financing. In other words, they're utilizing the city's borrowing power, but without being backed by the full faith and credit of the city. There is no financial risk to the city associated with these bond issues. They are supported in terms of the repayment of the bonds, both principal and interest, through a leasing arrangement. The city actually holds legal title to the facility during the term of the bonds, usually 15 or 20 years. During that time, lease payments are made to a trustee who in turn takes those lease proceeds and applies them to pay off the bonds and the interest. At the end of that term, then for usually nominal consideration, title is transferred back to the developing entity, and they go forward managing and operating the facility. In this case, as you might imagine, Presbyterian Manors utilize this mechanism to construct a number of its facilities throughout the state. They found themselves having to deal anytime they wanted to either refinance bonds or do anything differently, working through multiple local units of government in order to accomplish that. And as I say, in 1990, we were a participant in the first of its kind interlocal agreement, as approved by the Kansas Attorney General, that enabled the issuance of these bonds to be consistently through, in this case, the city of Wichita. And under the agreement, they would be the issuer, but in accordance with Kansas law, bonds could not be issued that were to be utilized for facilities in particular locations without at least the consent of the governing body of those cities in which the facilities were located. So at least it streamlined it as far as who was going through the whole process of issuing the bonds, but still had the consent requirement by those localities where the projects were actually being constructed. So we have, and this has occurred a number of times since 1990, as these financings occur and are refinanced or new improvements made and the like. In this case, we have a combination of where statewide there's a $28 million issue being approved. We are asked to consent to the utilization of a portion of those bonds for both the refinancing of that existing debt as well as the financing of renovations to the Salina facility. So with that, we've been presented with the proposed resolution that basically does that, indicates our consent to the City of Wichita's issuance of those bonds in the aggregate, and recognizing that certain of those will be used for the Salina facility. Be happy to try to answer any questions.
These don't in any way limit our bonding authority, do they?
Not at all. They do not go into that calculation at all.
Any other questions of staff? Seeing none, I'll invite any public comment. Commission action.
Mayor, I'd move that we adopt resolution number 076397, authorizing the issuance of certain healthcare facilities refunding and improvement revenue bonds in the principal amount not to exceed $28 million.
Are we approving that, or are we approving to conduct a public hearing? I'm a little confused.
We just had the public hearing.
Neglected to use the gavel, but we did have the public hearing.
That was the public hearing. Yeah.
Short and sweet.
Second.
So we have motion and a second. Motion is to approve Resolution 07-6397, authorizing the issuance of certain healthcare facilities refunding and improvement revenue bonds in the principal amount not to exceed $28 million. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes 5-0. We will then move on to the consent agenda.
Item 6.1, approve the minutes of May 14, 2007. Item 6.2, award of contract for reconstruction of sidewalk in front of 235 North Santa Fe, project number 072652 to All About Construction in the amount of $18,946.50. Item 6.3, approve the engineering agreement with Booker Willis Ratliff Company for the Gold Water Tower Maintenance, project number 072651 in the amount not to exceed $36,264.
Does anybody have any questions on a particular item on the consent agenda?
Mayor, I'd move for approval of consent agenda.
Second.
Motion is to approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes 5-0. We'll now move on to development business.
Item 7.1, resolution number 076396, establishing official street names for the realigned public streets north of the North Ohio Street overpass.
Mr. Andrew?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Commissioners, the way that most of our public streets in Salina get named is through the time when a subdivision plat of that area is prepared, approved. The streets are accepted by the City Commission, and that plat is recorded in the Register of Deeds office. Once that occurs, the street and its name gets placed on the city's official street map, and the name is then used for addressing for water service, gas, electric service, emergency service response, mail delivery, and of course the sign is posted on that street and at street intersections identifying the street's name. That's all done at the city's expense. There are 3 different ways that a street name can be changed. A subdivision developer who develops a subdivision can change their mind and petition to rename or change the name of a street as existing. The Planning Commission or City Commission may initiate a street name change if they think it's in the public interest to avoid confusion. Also, a city department, if they find that there is potential confusion in terms of emergency response, can request that a street be named or renamed to avoid that confusion. The most recent example we've had of a street name change was in 2004. There was an existing street, Mariposa Drive, that intersected with South Marymount Road, and East Cloud Street extended over to Markley Road and over to or to Marymount Road. That section of East Cloud was closed. A new street was constructed, and Mariposa Drive and East Cloud were changed to Cedar Ridge Drive. That was done at the request of a developer. As part of the North Ohio Overpass project, as you're aware, Pacific Avenue was realigned and angled to the north so that it would intersect with Ohio Street at the same grade as Ohio Street. Instead of constructing streets under the viaduct, Old Pacific was cut off, and there were cul-de-sacs constructed at the base of the overpass. Those are depicted on the maps that you have in your packet. Since there's been no actual platting or replatting in this area, in order to officially assign street names and change the street names, that would require action by the City Commission in the form of a resolution, and that would be recorded in the Register of Deeds office. From the first time that the project was in the concept stage, the names Pacific Court and Old Highway 40 Court appeared on maps and drawings associated with this project. Those kind of took on a life of their own, but they've never actually officially been assigned to those street segments, and they're certainly not binding on you as a commission. But since no official action has been taken, there is a need to assign street names, particularly to the realigned Pacific Avenue, and then to select street names for the remaining two dead-end sections. The affected parties that we've identified would be the ADM milling facility, which has a Pacific Avenue address today, would be on Pacific Court. There's a Mid-Kansas Diesel Repair that is located to the east of that. That would be going from Pacific Avenue to Pacific Court. And there's one business on the east side of the overpass that's currently addressed in the 1300 block of East Pacific. Their address would change to Old Highway 40 Court, but those would be the only affected parties. And they did receive notice of this proposal prior to this meeting. So you can choose the names that are listed in the attached resolution and approve those, or if the commission believes an alternate name would be more appropriate for either of those street segments, that would be appropriate as well. But with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions, Mr. Andrew?
The businesses that are affected, Dean didn't comment either way. Were they okay with it?
I think the impact on the ones on the west will be minimal because they're going from Pacific Avenue
Correct.
to Pacific Court. We did not hear back from the crane rental business that's on the east side of the viaduct. I don't know if any of them are present at the meeting today, but we did not hear back from them.
Because the whole name is changing.
Yes,
Is that correct?
that would
From
require
East Pacific to
Old Highway 40 Court. And that would require generally redoing stationary cards,
checks.
things of those nature.
Okay.
So,
Any additional questions of staff?
One more. It would be too difficult to do an East Pacific Court and a West Pacific Court?
Be confusing.
I'm just trying to, if I was a business owner and I had to redo all of my things.
well, generally, in the city of Salina, the usage of east and west is reserved to identify which side of Santa Fe you're
Correct.
on. So if that was used here, that might potentially create some confusion, especially in the 911 response system. I think that would not be consistent with what's been done using Santa Fe as the break point between east and west.
Mhm. Well, my street is that way, and it has nothing to do with that either, so I was curious about that. Okay.
Any additional questions? Any public comment? Commission action?
Mayor, I'd move for adoption of Resolution 076396, establishing official street names for the realigned public streets north of the North Ohio overpass.
Second.
Motion is to approve Resolution 07-6396, establishing official street names for the realigned public streets north of the North Ohio overpass. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes 5-0. We will now move on to items of administration.
Item 8.1, second reading ordinance number 06-10322, amending Chapter 8, Article 1, Division 3, Section 8-73 of the Salina Code, amending Section 102.1 of the Uniform Plumbing Code to provide a method for contractors to self-certify certain sewer installations.
This ordinance passed on first reading May 14th last week, and since that time, we received no additional comments. Are there any further comments here today? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'd move for adoption of Ordinance 06-10322 on second reading.
Second.
Motion is to approve Ordinance 06-10322, amending Chapter 8, Article 1, Division 3, Section 8-73 of the Salina Code pertaining to Section 102.1 of the Uniform Plumbing Code to provide a method for contractors to self-certify certain sewer installations. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Larson?
Aye.
Commissioner Peck?
Aye.
Commissioner Perney?
Aye.
Commissioner Vanier?
Aye.
Mayor Jelka?
Aye.
Item 8.2, resolution number 076394, authorizing the offering for public sale of general obligation temporary notes and bonds. Sub-item 8.2A, first reading ordinance number 07-10390, authorizing the issuance and delivery of general obligation improvement bonds series 2007-A.
Mr. Franz?
Mayor and Commissioners, thank you. It's that time of year again for us to go through our routine of issuing bonds and notes to finance a variety of projects that are either under construction or have been constructed. As some of you know and some of you may not know, our method of financing a large-scale construction project, typically the design may be done out of current resources, at least temporarily. At the time we begin construction of the project, we would sell temporary notes to provide cash to do that construction, and once the project is complete, we roll those temporary notes into long-term bonds and then pay those off over a period of time ranging from 10 to 20 years, depending on the circumstances. Typically, commission policies provide that a project that is normally sized for Salina on the order of $1 to $2 million would be paid over a 10-year period. Special assessment projects are assessed over a 15-year period because that's typically what the developer requires or requests of us. And then a larger projects may be extended over a 20-year period. Two of the projects included in this bond issue are proposed to be extended over a 20-year period. That's the this phase of the North Ohio Street project and the Broadway Boulevard improvements. The remainder of the projects are all special assessment projects and are proposed at a 15-year payout. Resolution 07-6394 authorizes the offering for public sale of both the notes and the bonds, and also provides and approves for the issuance of the official statement. The official statement is a document that is provided to the markets to basically offer the securities for sale, and it describes the issue and the city's circumstances in both financial and economic terms. Ordinance 07-10390 authorizes the issuance and delivery of the 2007A bonds. The second reading of the ordinance is scheduled for June 11th, which coincides with consideration of the bids on the bonds. The bond issue amount, we did finish the prepayment period for the special assessments on Friday. The bond issue amount now stands at $6,515,000, which is considerably less than it started out to be. We did receive quite a number of prepayments, several $100,000 worth. And we also restructured a couple of the projects from the bonds to the notes. You have there before you a list of the projects included, fairly substantial list this time. The action required at this point is to pass the resolution and then also pass on first reading the ordinance 07-10,390. Be glad to try to answer any questions.
Any questions, Mr. France? Thank you very much. I'd entertain any public comment. There being none, we will bring it back to the commission for action.
Mayor, I'd move for passage of Resolution 076394, authorizing the offering for public sale of general obligation temporary notes and bonds.
Second.
Motion is to approve Resolution 07-6394. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes 5-0.
Mayor, I don't know if this is okay to interject right here or not, but could I go back to the citizens, just make a comment on the citizens forum real quick? Is that okay?
Would they all leave?
I think there's a couple still here. I just wanted to address them before they left.
Okay.
Would it be okay for us to just comment that by the end of next week we could get back with them on checking out the feasibility of looking at additional spaces?
I was thinking about that myself. Maybe by the end of the month we could get some sort of reply of some sort.
We certainly can research both issues, the legality of driving golf carts on the street, as well as at least respond to the scenarios by which golf cart storage can be expanded.
Yeah, I'm afraid that it seems like the legality issue is probably maybe already settled, it seems to me, but definitely I just wanted to let you guys, didn't want to leave you hanging there, but to let you know that we'll definitely check out the feasibility of looking at additional spaces.
Well, and also our golf course does not operate at a profit, and renting some more spaces for golf carts might be a real good idea.
So,
We certainly can provide an overview of the issue.
Okay. Good idea. Thank you. You bet.
Back to the agenda, Mayor Jelka, I would move that we adopt on first reading ordinance number 07-10,390, authorizing the issuance and delivery of up to $7,400,000 principal amount of general obligation internal improvement bonds, Series 2007-A.
Second.
Motion is to approve ordinance 07-10390, authorizing the issuance and delivery of $7.4 million in principal amount of GOB internal improvement bonds, Series 2007-A. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes 5-0.
Item 8.3, resolution number 076395, setting forth the findings and determinations of advisability and authorizing improvements in the Magnolia Hills Estates addition.
Mr. Place?
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Attached is petition number 4297 was submitted requesting certain street drainage, water, and sewer improvements to serve 25 residential lots in Magnolia Hills Estates. The engineering feasibility report for these public improvements is attached to your packet. The report describes the scope of the project, the improvement district, the method of assessment, cost estimate breakdowns for each improvement, and identifies and describes the properties in the benefit district. All costs are to be assessed against the improvement district with a per lot assessment estimated to be $22,653.84. This project will be temporarily financed through a temporary note and rolled into long-term bonds in 2008. Property owners will have the opportunity to pay the assessment in full prior to the bond issue. If they elect not to do so, the assessment plus related interest costs will be spread over 15 years in equal annual installments. It is recommended that the City Commission approve Resolution Number 076395 of advisability and authorization establishing the Special Assessment Improvement District and authorizing staff to set the bid date for the project. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions of Mr. Place?
The study session that we had on the proposed sewer improvements, that is falls under phase 3 of this project.
I have to get back with you on that.
I think I could help with that question. What they're doing as far as their phasing is they're doing all the areas in their phases that can be served by gravity sewer today and saving the hardest lots for last. So they're phasing plans based on the ones they can serve by sewer today.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Any additional questions of staff? Thank you very much. I'd like to entertain any public comment. There being none, we'll bring it back to the Commission for action.
Mayor, I'd move for approval of Resolution 076395, setting forth the findings and determinations of the advisability and authorizing improvements in Magnolia Hills Estates Edition.
Second.
Motion is to approve Resolution 07-6395. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. That passes 5-0.
Item 8.4, award of contract for the North Ohio Railroad Crossing Removal Project, number 06-1603.
Mr. Place?
Thank you again, Mayor and Commissioners. This project is part of the agreement with KDOT for the North Ohio Overpass Project. The project involves the removal of 7 railroad tracks at 5 separate locations in North Salina. On Tuesday, May 15th, the low bid was Lancaster Construction in the amount of $104,046.88. The financing for this project has been carried over from 2006 and is allocated from the 2007 budget and special gas tax funds for the 2007 street improvement program. City staff has been negotiating with K&O Railroad Company for a reimbursement of 50% of these project costs in order to satisfy their contractual requirements on the North Ohio Street Overpass project. In fact, K&O could potentially be required to pay 5% of total project costs, but in an effort to cooperate with them, as being the size of the company, we have been negotiating for the 50%. 5% of the total, well, let me rephrase that, 50% of this project. If we could actually request that they pay for 5% of the total overpass project. That project was $20.3 million, so they'd be on the hook for almost $1 million. But we are in negotiations with them right now. It is recommended that the City Commission award the contract for the North Ohio Railroad Crossings Removal Project to Lancaster Construction in the amount of $104,046.88. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions, Mr. Place?
So our net bill then should be $52,000?
Correct.
And when will we find out if you're successful?
Again, we're in negotiations. I don't know if I can, I can't really give you that answer right now.
Since I'm still learning, the resolution starts with 06. Is it because of it carried over from last year?
Correct.
So you begin the resolution with 06, even though it's going to be awarded this year.
That's
not a-
my understanding.
It's not an 07, is that right?
That's the project.
It's a project number, not a resolution number. That's how we track the cost that goes with that project.
So, and because it was 06, it starts out with the 06?
Correct.
Okay.
Any additional questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Entertain any public comment? Commission action?
Mayor, I'd move that we award the contract for the North Ohio Railroad Crossing Removal Project number 06-1603 to Lancaster Construction, Inc. in the amount of $104,046.88.
Second.
Motion is to award the contract for North Ohio Railroad Crossing Removal Project, which is 06-1603, to Lancaster Construction in the amount of $104,046.88. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes 5-0.
Item 8.5, award of contract for the fiber optic system.
Ms. Tasker?
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Currently, Cox Communication provides the fiber link between General Services and the Bicentennial Center, and that service is going to be discontinued on July 1st of 2007. This service will be replaced with the city-owned overhead fiber optic cable attached to Westar Energy Incorporated's power poles. In April of 2007, the City Commission authorized a $50,000 increase in the 2007 computer technology budget and also executed a pole attachment agreement with Westar Energy. Westar Energy Incorporated requires that a pole attachment agreement be in place, and of that agreement, they require that a load study be done to determine whether the power poles will withstand the load of the overhead fiber optic cable. At this time, the route and the load capacity of the utility poles has been approved by Westar Energy. Computer Technology and Utility Department staff met with 3 contractors and reviewed the route and the location of the power poles and the installation within the 2 buildings, and discussed a 12 fiber and 24 strand fiber cable with them, and also stressed the need to have the project complete by mid-June to allow for testing and to be online by July 1. We received 3 quotations, one from Universal Cable Service in the amount of $18,619 for the 12-strand fiber cable and $21,744 for the 24-strand cable, with a completion date of June 5th. A second from EdCom Incorporated. They did not bid on the 12-strand fiber cable, total of $13,675.78 for the 24-strand cable, and a completion date of July 3rd. Zook Construction submitted a quote of $15,751.90 for the 12-strand fiber cable and $15,930 for the 24-strand fiber cable, with an estimated completion date of June 26th. The quotation from Zook Construction did not include a completed installation of the fiber optic cable inside of the Bicentennial Center, therefore that bid was rejected. The quotation from EdCom did not include all of the materials required and did not meet the project completion date, and that quotation was rejected. The quote from Universal Cable met all of our project requirements. In addition, they offered an unlimited warranty on their workmanship and a 6-month maintenance agreement, which included pole transfers, repairing broken lashing and wire, and emergency restoration. We anticipate that this type of a maintenance agreement will be required in the future to maintain this system. The project was bid utilizing both the 12 and 24 strand. The 12-strand would meet the needs of today, but we feel the 24-strand would definitely allow for future expansion and reliability. Therefore, we recommend the option with universal cable service with a cost of $21,744. Currently, the cost for the project of the three main components, the pole survey, load study, and tree removal and the fiber optic system, is slightly over $29,000. CT, or computer technology, will have some additional costs for cable and internal components. A budget allocation of $50,000 for the fiber optic system from general services to the Bicentennial Center was included in the 2007 Capital Improvements Program under the category of computer technology. Staff recommends that the City Commission award the contract for the fiber optic system from general service to the Bicentennial Center to Universal Cable Services Incorporated in the amount of $21,744. This time, computer technology staff and myself would answer any questions you might have.
Questions of staff? Thank you very much. I'd entertain any public comment, if there is any. There being none, we'll bring it back to the commission.
Mayor, I would move we award the contract for the fiber optic system from General Services to the Buy Center to Universal Cable Services in the amount of $21,744.
Second.
Motion is to award the contract for a fiber optic system from General Services to the Bicentennial Center to Universal Cable Services for a 24-strand cable in the amount of $21,744. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes 5-0.
Item 8.6, resolution number 076398, authorizing the mayor to execute and the city manager or city attorney to deliver a certificate of approval of the issuance by the Kansas Independent Finance Authority of revenue bonds in an amount not to exceed $8 million.
Mr. Bingston?
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. To my knowledge, we are parties to a total of 2 interlocal agreements in which other entities or cities issue bonds, and the governing body is asked to consent to those. I don't know what the chances are of those happening to fall on the same agenda, but we do have that circumstance. In this case, in 2003, the city became a party to an interlocal agreement whereby the Kansas Independent Finance Authority is authorized to issue bonds for the various independent universities and colleges throughout the state of Kansas. In this case, they are the source of some borrowing that Kansas Wesleyan University would like to do, and under the terms of that interlocal agreement, it is necessary for the City Commission to authorize the execution of a certificate authorizing that borrowing. The reason for the timing and the reference to the public hearing, in this case, that public hearing occurs in Wichita, that being the home base operation of that Independent Finance Authority. That is scheduled to occur on May 24th, but given the scheduling and some delay after May 24th before you would be having your next meeting, if the City Commission is so inclined, I had suggested to them that it might work for you all to consider that authorization today and instruct me to hold on to that until we can verify, as I'm sure it will, that the public hearing occurs a little later this week, and then upon that occurrence, we would deliver the certificate. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions of Mr. Bingston?
Could you briefly explain to me what it means when these bonds count towards the city's bank qualified limit set by the IRS?
If I may, I'll have asked Mr. Franz to do that if he's so inclined. I think he can describe that more precisely and how it affects us in this year in particular.
There is a limit, and I believe it is at $10 million, and when you exceed that limit, then banks can no longer bid on municipal offerings as tax-exempt offerings. In other words, they have and so if we're in a market where we receive bids primarily from banks, that has a potential of driving our interest costs to a higher level because they have to bid them as taxable bonds. That is not the circumstance we are normally in. Normally we sell our bonds to investment houses who then place them through their networks. So it's thought it will not have a significant effect on us in the event that we should normally be below the bank qualified limit. That is uncertain at best this year. We may actually have enough debt to drive ourselves over that limit this year. Does that answer the question?
I guess my question would be, how would this affect Airport Authority?
It would have the same effect on them that it does on us because their bonds are also counted towards in our, I don't know what you call it, in our pocket as far as this, as far as the bank qualification goes.
And so we have a $10 million limit, and Kansas Wesleyan's going to use $8 million of that?
Yeah, of course, we may use 10 of it too.
But
this year, yes.
Who gets thrown out then? I mean,
nobody gets
well,
thrown out.
no, it's just that none of the bonds are then bank qualified that year.
I see.
So it's not the first 10 million, it's if you're over the 10 million, none of them are bank qualified. And one of the difficulties is, of course, mid-year predicting where you're going to be by the end of the year.
Is that limit set by the IRS for
Yes.
everybody across the board, or just a city our size?
No, it's basically
across the board.
Yeah, it's an across-the-board limitation.
Okay.
Do the $7.4 million we just approved count against that limit?
Yes.
Okay, so we're already there.
Or parts of it do. I mean, what counts and what doesn't count, the computation gets pretty complicated because you don't count the same debt twice, but, you know, so you have to back out the refinancings and add in the costs of issuance, and, you know, it works out to quite a calculation. But in general, yes, Abner.
Okay.
Commissioner Perney, I'm sorry.
Thank you. So anyway, we'll be at 15 million against the 10
It's
million
likely,
limit
yes.
as soon as this is approved,
Yes.
approximately.
Is that bad? I mean, is that dangerous?
No.
Is that,
You know, we've been there before from time to time. It's just, for us, it's not a routine occurrence, but it does happen.
what's the term on these? 20 years?
I would defer to Mr. Bankston.
And I'm not positive what the term is, Commissioner.
what did Commissioner Lanier say? 20? Did you say 20?
I was asking.
Just asking.
I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that question.
And it doesn't really matter about that limit because it's just those approved in a year.
Yeah.
Okay. So the term doesn't affect us since we're not on the bonds. It's not our debt.
I understand that.
Any additional questions of staff? Seeing none, I'd entertain any public comment.
Mayor, if I may, excuse me, it certainly is a relevant question as to the term, and something that I would expect that I could answer rather quickly with a contact with bond counsel, if that's something that would prompt the commissioners to want to wait until a little later in the meeting until I could try to clarify that.
It's not going to affect how I vote.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't, it's something I should have made note of in the conversation with bond counsel, but I just did not.
There being no public comment, we'll bring it back to the commission for action.
Okay. Well, Mayor, I'd move that resolution number 076398 be approved, which authorizes the mayor to execute and the city attorney to deliver a certificate of approval of the issuance by the Kansas Independent Finance Authority revenue bonds in an amount not to exceed $8 million in order to make a loan to Kansas Wesleyan University.
Second.
Motion is to approve resolution number 07-6398. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes 5-0. Can we add all these at once, or? Okay, I'll need a motion to add 3 more agenda items that have come up.
Can we so move that one? Make it easy.
Second.
Do we need any more detail on that motion?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Motion is to approve items 8.7, 8.8, 8.9 as additions to the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. We will move on to 8.7.
Resolution number 076399, amending resolution number 076347, setting for the findings and determinations for the advisability and authorizing certain improvements in the Golden Eagles Estates number 4.
Mr. Franz?
Thank you. This item comes to us at the request of bond counsel, who, in the course of preparing for the bond issue we're engaged in currently, noted a difference in language between the language in the resolution and the language in the petition relating to Golden Eagle Estates number 4 edition. Essentially, the resolution provided that each lot in the improvement district should be assessed equally per equivalent residential lot. The petition filed by the developers contains similar language, however, provided for the equal assessment per equivalent residential unit. This amendment simply changes the language in the resolution to conform with that in the petition.
Any questions of Mr. Franz? Thank you very much. Any public comment? Commission action?
Mayor, I've moved for passage of resolution 076399.
Second.
Motion is to approve resolution 07-6399, which amends resolution 07-6347, setting for the findings and determinations of advisability and authorizing certain improvements in Golden Eagle Estates edition number 4. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes 5-0.
Item 8.8, resolution number 076400, authorizing the city manager to sign and deliver a letter of acceptance to Exide Technologies for the contribution of 3 trams.
Ms. Hall?
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Celebrating its 31st anniversary in 2007, the Smoky Hill River Festival is a project of the City of Salina Arts and Humanities Commission. This nationally recognized arts event draws on the strengths, expertise, and assistance of a variety of city departments, including parks, general services, police, fire, the Salina Bicentennial Center, and is also supported by over 2,000 community volunteers and an extensive base of financial support. The Smoky Hill River Festival's mission is to celebrate the arts and this community through a festival happening that is accessible to anyone, physically, psychologically, and economically. For many years, the Smoky Hill River Festival has provided shuttle services to festival patrons from the Bicentennial Center's parking lots into Oakdale Park. The shuttle service runs on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of the festival, with 3 trams running continuously between Oakdale Park and the Bicentennial Center's parking lots. The shuttle service improves accessibility to the festival for seniors, families with small children, and those with physical impairments. For the last 6 years, Exide Technologies has organized and provided volunteers to operate the trams. Historically, the trams used by the festival were either borrowed from several locations throughout the state or rented at a considerable expense to the festival. In 2004, Exide Technologies commissioned 3 handicapped accessible trams to be built. Exide has generously agreed to donate these 3 trams to the City of Salina for the Smoky Hill River Festival. This donation assures that the festival will continue to provide the shuttle service to festival patrons for many years to come. Exide has requested in making the donation that the City of Salina waive any future claims against Exide and indemnify Exide from any third-party liability claims arising from the use of the trams. The attached acceptance letter addresses these matters and has been approved by Exide. City staff has verified that the agreement to indemnify Exide against third-party claims is covered under the city's general liability policy. Staff recommends that Commission adopt Resolution Number 076400. I'd be glad to answer any questions, or Mr. Bankston as well.
Any questions of staff? Thank you very much. I'll entertain any public comment, if there is any. Commission action.
Mayor, I approve we adopt resolution number 076400.
Second.
Motion is to adopt Resolution 07-6400, authorizing city manager to sign and deliver a letter of acceptance to Exide Technologies for the contribution of 3 trams. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes 5-0.
Item 8.9, authorize a grant application to the U.S. Department of Justice for the 2007 Public Education Program.
Ms. Crawford?
Mayor, Commissioners, we're always looking for money in the city of Salina, and this year is no different. We've gotten a grant request, or have been notified that they're soliciting grant proposals for a public education program from the Department of Justice, the Office of Special Counsel. If you have any questions about the grant, Sandy Beverly's been working on that and knows more about it than I do. It's due in June 29th, and as most of those occur, they occur really fast, and you have to put it together pretty quickly. So if you have any questions about the actual proposal, though, Sandy can probably answer that better than I can.
How much money is involved in this? Yeah, probably a good idea.
Thank you. Due to the fact that we are working on this grant in partnership with Catholic Charities to service people who are typically discriminated against because of language barriers, we do not have a budget as yet because we will be hiring someone that will actually do this educational outreach. But the grant can range from $35,000 to $100,000 should we be awarded it. I propose that our budget will be somewhere around $65,000 to $70,000.
And is that split between Salina, Junction City, and Manhattan, or is that Salina?
It will be housed here in Salina, but the places that will be serviced would be Salina, Junction City, and Manhattan, and the person that would be paid to do it would be from the one office here with us.
Okay, thank you.
This is due,
May 29th, not June.
so what's the big hurry?
Would the person be housed here in the city-county building, or?
That has not been decided yet.
Okay, since you're already crowded over there. Okay.
Any additional questions of staff? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I would entertain any public comment. Commission action.
Mayor, I would move that we pass a motion authorizing you to sign the application for a grant application on behalf of the Salina Human Relations Commissions in partnership with Catholic Charities of Salina.
Second.
Motion is to authorize a grant application to the Department of Justice for the 2007 Public Education Program, on behalf of the Human Relations Commission in partnership with Catholic Charities of Salina. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. That passes 5-0. I'm not aware of any other business or announcements. Before we do meet next, there will be our next meeting will be June 4th, I believe.
That's correct.
And prior to that, there will be a ceremony that folks might want to take note of on May 31st at 5 o'clock. We will have a ceremony in the Caldwell Plaza area dedicating a new monument that has been built on behalf of all the employees who have been killed on the job, I guess, the city and county employees, and that'll be at 5 o'clock on May 31st. I'll entertain the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Motion is to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Well, that's the shortest.